Opinion Modi's Waqf reforms a true act of empowerment for Indian Muslims in Bhopal. A Waqf complex was illegally constructed on government land, and out of 125 registered graveyards, 101 have mysteriously disappeared, with private individuals occupying the land. Additionally, a 24,450 square foot Waqf property at Sarai Sikandari has seen 1,800 square foot encroached upon by a local politician. In Hyderabad, 765 notices were issued to encroachers in 2021 alone, while Telangana's Waqf Board, one of India's richest, owns assets worth 5 lakh crore, yet 75% of its land is encroached upon. Akbaruddin Owaisi has also stated that 82% of Waqf land in Hyderabad has been grabbed by private individuals. In Mumbai, over 60% of Maharashtra's Waqf land has been illegally occupied, with the Lal Shah Baba Dargah in Parel, originally spanning 72 acres, now surrounded by residential towers built on Waqf land. In Lucknow, the Uttar Pradesh government has reported that 78% of the land claimed by the Waqf Board is actually government-owned, with no legal Waqf rights, and a 1989 government order that illegally registered uncultivable land as Waqf property has been revoked. In Patna, the Bihar Sunni Waqf Board issued a notice claiming ownership of land in the Hindu-majority village of Govindpur, affecting 7 Hindu households. In Ernakulam, Kerala, in September 2024, around 600 Christian families, particularly from the Cherai and Munambam areas, opposed the Waqf Board's claim over their land, which they argue has been in their possession for generations. All the aforesaid examples are a grim reminder of why the opaque and illegal Waqf Act of 1995, which bred corruption and disempowered poor Muslims, needed a thorough overhaul. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has empowered the marginalist Muslims of India with his bold reforms in this regard. President Draupadi Murmu gave her assent to the Waqf Amendment Bill, 2025, days after Parliament passed the legislation. The new act aligns with Umeed Unified Waqf Management Empowerment, Efficiency and Development. The Rajya Sabha cleared the bill with 128 votes in favor and 95 against, following nearly 17 hours of discussion. The Lok Sabha had passed the legislation after a 13-hour marathon debate, with 288 votes in favor and 232 against. Let the truth be told, the new act Umeed is Prime Minister Modi's generous saugat, that is, gift to India's deprived and vulnerable Muslims, long used as vote banks by successive Congress regimes. Waqf is a permanent dedication of movable or immovable property for religious, pious, or charitable purposes recognized under Muslim law. The management of Waqf properties has been governed by the Waqf Act, 1995, under the supervision of state Waqf boards and the Central Waqf Council. The Charity Commissioner of Public Trusts regulates and supervises the functioning of public trusts established by any religion. Public trusts are legal arrangements whereby property or assets are set aside by individuals or organizations for public benefit in religious, charitable, educational, or social welfare domains. They are regulated under various state public trust acts, such as, for instance, the Maharashtra Public Trusts Act, 2012, earlier the Bombay Public Trusts Act, 1950, and are administered by charity commissioners. However, the regulating body of Waqf, i.e., the Waqf Board, is not a legal or religious body. It is merely a statutory body responsible for the supervision and management of land affairs. Under the garb of secularism, for the longest time, successive Congress-led governments in India allowed the Waqf Boards to be treated as a law unto themselves. In states where the Charity Act is in force, the Charity Commissioner of Public Trusts can belong to any religion. Accordingly, under the new act, members of state Waqf Boards can also be non-Muslims, as the role of both Waqf Boards and Charity Commissioners is entirely administrative, not religious. Therefore, for effective governance and better functioning of Waqf Boards, domain experts can be appointed from among Muslims or non-Muslims. Also, the new act is strictly meant to improve the functioning of Waqf Boards and does not intervene in the day-to-day functioning of the Waqf or the Waqf Manshah intention of the Waqf. So why the hue and cry by vested lobbies such as, say, the AIM? Does the AIM not want greater transparency and accountability? Why is it so frightened of reforms that will ensure better governance of Waqfs? More importantly, there are some significant case laws that clearly establish that state Waqf Boards are statutory bodies, not religious ones. Further, Section 96 of the Waqf Act, 1995, clearly empowers the central government to regulate the secular activities of Waqf, which include social, economic, and educational welfare. Therefore, those protesting against the new act, claiming it has encroached upon the religious freedom of minorities under Articles 25 and 26 of the Constitution, are completely wrong yet again. Waqf Boards are not religious bodies, so religious freedom does not come into play at all. Land grabbing by vested interests, using various loopholes in the draconian Waqf Act of 1995, was used to usurp the properties of poor Muslims and non-Muslims. Now, those same vested interests are crying foul and giving the entire Waqf debate a religious color simply to polarize the narrative and deflect attention from the rampant land grabbing by various Sunni-dominant, wealthy Waqf Boards over the last many decades. As per the Waqf Assets Management System of India WAMSI portal, there are currently 8.72 lakh registered Waqf properties, spanning an area of 37.39 lakh acres. Of these 8.72 lakh properties, only 1,088 have registered Waqf deeds and 9,279 have ownership rights establishing or documents. The Satcher Committee 2006 reported that the annual income from 4.9 lakh registered Waqf properties yielded an income of only 163 rupees crore, at a 2.7% return. However, with efficient and marketable use, these properties could generate a return of at least 12,000 rupees crore per annum at a 10% or return 2006 data. Out of the total registered Waqf properties, 4.02 lakh are Waqf by user and 26,676 are Waqf al-Aulad. Waqf institutions in India have historically lacked inclusivity, limiting participation from key stakeholders such as marginalized Muslim communities like the Agha-Khanis and Bohras. This exclusion has prevented Waqf properties from fulfilling their intended purpose: the welfare and upliftment of disadvantaged communities and the poor. A reformed governance model is essential to ensure efficiency, accountability, and equitable utilization of Waqf assets. Historical records show that non-Muslims have donated Waqf properties for public welfare and are also litigants in Waqf-related litigations. Despite being beneficiaries, litigants, and donors, non-Muslims were entirely excluded from Waqf governance. The new act removes this anomaly. Women were underrepresented in governance, leading to a lack of gender-sensitive policies and ineffective allocation of Waqf funds for women-centric welfare programs. The inclusion of Muslims from backward classes, 2 or more elected members from municipalities or panchayats to strengthen local governance in Waqf affairs, and the inclusion of 2 non-Muslim members excluding ex officio members in the Central Waqf Council and Waqf boards will bring greater inclusivity under the new act. Greater inclusivity prevents monopolization, strengthens oversight, and enhances public trust. Effective governance will ensure Waqf assets contribute meaningfully to education, healthcare, and economic empowerment, promoting autonomy and equity. A single-window digital platform will track the entire life cycle of Waqf properties, ensuring transparency in registration, leasing, and revenue management. Linking Waqf properties with land revenue records will establish clear ownership, prevent disputes, and facilitate proper land mutation. An online leasing framework with market-based pricing tools will ensure fair rental rates and maximize revenue generation. Regular financial audits will prevent mismanagement. The new act does not affect the religious nature of Waqf itself but strengthens its administrative governance. Waqf boards are administrative bodies, not religious institutions. The core function, after all, of Waqf boards is regulatory, not religious. Their responsibilities such as property registration, financial auditing, legal compliance, and dispute resolution are statutory in nature, just like the Charity Commissioner for Public Trusts. Encroachment remains a significant challenge, with 58,890 instances of encroachment recorded on WAMSI. Additionally, 31,999 litigation cases covering issues such as encroachment and mismanagement are pending before Waqf tribunals and Waqf boards, out of which nearly 9,000 cases involve Muslim parties. This highlights that the Waqf land misappropriation issue is not confined to any single community but is a broader governance issue requiring systemic reforms. The new act seeks to minimize litigations. A Waqf deed is mandatory under the new act. Section 36(1)(a) ensures that all Waqf are documented through a Waqf deed, providing clarity on ownership and avoiding unnecessary litigation. Also, only individuals practicing Islam for at least 5 years can dedicate property to Waqf. The person must legally own the property and be competent to transfer or dedicate it. This ensures that dedication is genuine and without any malafide intentions. The entire life cycle of Waqf property management, starting from registration, verification by the collector, mutation, preparation of annual accounts and audit of Waqf, leasing and development of Waqf properties, and litigation monitoring must be conducted on the central portal. The collector is being assigned an independent role in verifying the genuineness of registration applications for Waqf properties, conducting surveys, and carrying out mutations, which will improve the updating of land records of Waqf properties with land titles and help reduce encroachments. Faster verification of land records and titles will lead to the timely disposal of cases. The accounts and audits regarding Waqf properties will be uploaded on the proposed central portal, ensuring regular updates on income and expenditure, thereby enhancing accountability and transparency in the management of Waqf properties. This, in turn, will be a significant boon for poor Muslims, who will no longer be taken for a royal ride by their wily, richer brethren. The Waqf by user provision refers to properties that became Waqf based on their long-term use for religious or charitable purposes, even without formal documentation. Earlier, such properties remained classified as Waqf even if the religious or charitable use ceased. This provision has now been omitted in the new act, as henceforth having a Waqf deed will be compulsory. However, protection is given to Waqf properties such as mosques, qabristans, graveyards, etc. already registered with the Waqf boards on or before the commencement of this act, unless the property is disputed or belongs to the government. Section 40 earlier allowed the Waqf board to declare any property as Waqf based on information collected by itself, which it had reason to believe was Waqf property. The new act, in a bold and sweeping move to empower poor Muslims, has completely removed Section 40, thereby rationalizing the powers of the Waqf Boards. The Limitation Act, 1963, shall now apply from the commencement of the new Act in 2025. This is expected to help reduce litigation and will also make Waqf Boards more vigilant in safeguarding Waqf properties. Further, the omission of the overriding effect facilitates the legal harmonization of the Waqf Act with other laws. This reduces conflicts and avoids overlaps with various other acts. Penalties for mutawalis have been made stricter to ensure greater accountability. A mutawali is now liable to be punished with imprisonment for a term which may be extended up to 6 months, and also with a fine of not less than 20,000 rupees, which may be extended up to Rs 1 lakh. For non-compliance with their prescribed duties, a mutawali is liable to be punished with a fine of up to Rs 50,000. Further, 2 additional grounds have been added in the new Act for the removal of a mutawali if he fails without reasonable cause to maintain regular accounts for 1 year or fails to submit the yearly statements of accounts, if he is found to be a member of any association declared unlawful under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, 1967. These provisions make mutawalis responsible for maintaining proper accounts and ensure they are not involved in unlawful activities under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act UAPA. The new Act aims to enhance the efficiency, transparency, and accountability of Waqf administration, ensuring that issues such as encroachment, alienation, and misuse are addressed by the competent authority. It marks a significant step towards modernizing the management and administration of Waqf properties. Waqf, an essential aspect of Islamic philanthropy, plays a pivotal role in supporting social welfare and religious activities. The new Act introduces key provisions such as the centralized digital registration of Waqf properties and stricter legal measures against misuse. Swipe left for next video. Prime Minister Modi hailed the move as a watershed moment, saying that the Waqf system had long suffered from a lack of transparency and accountability. This legislation will boost transparency and safeguard people's rights, he posted on X. Truly, the amended Waqf Act will go down in history as one of Modi's boldest reforms, a feat only a fearless leader of his towering stature could have pulled off. Sanjay Verma is an economist, national spokesperson of the BJP and the best-selling author of the Modi Gambit. Views expressed in the above piece are personal and solely those of the author. They do not necessarily reflect News 18's views. Latest blogs.